Welcome back to the lineup. This show has had an extended break. We've had to move office space, move all the equipment. But much like Shahid Afridi, we refuse to go away. We're back once again. And I've mentioned that name with intent because today we're going to be picking an all-time Asian T20 11. And to do that, I've got George Binoy, Yash, and a debutant on our show, Sudarshanan, who will from now be known as Suds. I've been practicing how to say his name in this.
And you got it right.
I got it wrong.
Sudarshanan.
Now you got it right.
Okay, Suds. He'll be known as Suds from now, not Sai Suds, just Suds. And before we get to picking the team, I'll just mention a little bit of the criteria, one of which is that we consider all T20s. So not just T20Is, not just Asia Cup performances, because who even remembers those, all T20 performances. And the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to limit ourselves to picking maximum 4 players from each country, because ultimately we're all Indians and we tend to just have all Indians in the team for these Asian 11s or World 11s. So we can only pick 4 max from any country. And even though we are fairly uniform today, as you can see, we've only got 5 unanimous picks. So all of us had Bumrah and Malinga, all of us had Rashid Khan, all of us had Shahid Afridi, and all of us had MS Dhoni as our captain and wicketkeeper. Now you'll notice that there's one big name missing here from our unanimous pick. So let me start.
Please reveal yourself.
Let me start with the debutant, and let me use a phrase from a famous Indian television anchor. How dare you not pick Virat Kohli?
So I think my exclusion of Kohli's exclusion in my 11 was purely to fit the middle order like I wanted it, and because of the maximum 4 from a country limit.
So is this his first and last?
So who do you have?
You wanted to launch your career with a bang.
So who do you have instead of him as your opener? Do you have an Indian opener?
Yeah, I do. So
Which
my
is?
openers.
You have an Indian opener.
Yeah, my openers are Rohit Sharma and Sanat Jayasuriya.
Please explain why Rohit over
Explain
Kohli.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tough pick and could have been either or, and I'm happy with going with Kohli in, if that is
You
it.
will have to.
But my logic behind picking Rohit was just going by recency bias, in the sense I wanted my openers to go all out attack. I didn't want a traditional anchor in that sense, even though I know Kohli's evolved his game, etc. So that's the pure one
Recency
reason.
bias, the last IPL, Kohli was the one hitting the sixes.
Yeah.
T20 World Cup final, he hit the 50.
Player of the tournament in 2 previous T20.
Yeah, all that. As I said, it wasn't
I didn't
easy.
think we'd have. I have no Kohli notes because I didn't think it would have to be debated.
No, I mean, there was some discussion about whether you'd need another Indian somewhere and therefore sacrifice Kohli. But,
Correct.
But yeah, Rohit versus Kohli. Is there anyone else who's buying this argument, or are we just going to put Kohli's name there very quickly?
My only thing is I don't necessarily have him as opener.
Okay, so
Because
are
the
we
one thing-
outvoting Sudarshan?
100%.
So that's based
Sorry.
on just
Welcome
Kohli
to the
being there.
show.
So we'll just put Kohli here now, and then we'll figure out batting order. And
Why
stuff.
they put him at 2?
I mean,
Why is he not
that doesn't
number
really
one?
matter, George. I mean, because if I need to move him to 3, not that I'm going to physically move the word, but I just put it there.
Okay, so the only argument I'm going to make here is that the one area where I found it hard to fit people was the middle order, and because there were 3 Indians who were lock-ins. Kohli was a lock-in for me. Dhoni, Bumrah. I felt that.
So who's your 4th Indian? Because that's going to be the next discussion. So let's start with that. The 4th Indian player, or do you have
So
a 4th
yeah,
Indian? Or maybe you
assuming
don't
that
have
there
a-
are 4.
maybe you
I
don't have
do.
one. Okay.
For me, Surya was a lock-in.
Okay.
Dhoni, of course, as captain wicketkeeper. Bumrah and Kohli for me at 3 because I felt that
You have
Kohli and
2 other
Surya
openers.
were the only middle order I was happy with.
Okay, let's debate that 4th Indian now,
Yeah,
because I think
yeah,
most of us
yeah.
have it in that.
I also have Sky, but I'll let the guys who have other picks go with that. Yeah.
So I have Hardik Pandya because I think he offers a skill set which is not existent in any of these other countries. He has about 90 international wickets, more than nearly 1,500 international runs at a very good strike rate, brings that explosive finishing ability in the middle order, third seamer as well. Because otherwise I don't see where a third fast bowler is going to
Well, you could
appear
have
in
him
the
as
11.
one of your bowlers, but you have spinners in those slots. I'm guessing.
Yeah, but I don't see a third fast bowler slotting in there, but we can get there. But I just think he has a very unique skill set, which is just, there's no other player like him in these Asian countries. And he will lend that balance to the team. There are substitutes for Sky, as in like
Who?
No, I'm just saying for explosivity, like you will have, there's Hardik, there's Dhoni, there's Afridi, there's anyone else that we might fit in at number.
So I
Who else do I
almost
have?
reached the same conundrum, and in fact, you almost had company because the first draft I'd shared with Dustin, I thought I can't let go of Hardik, but then when I saw that middle order, there was no way Kohli was not going to be in it. My argument against Hardik is that I still feel there could be the possibility of a third seamer here, and when we look at that all-round pool, there are lots of spin bowling all-rounders.
Because you have Rashid and Shahid and
Who are
Afridi
already
already as
there,
spinners.
and
You
a
don't
couple
need a
of-
spinner at 9 necessarily.
You don't. But,
and I don't rule it out that there could be one, if not two more spin bowling all rounders slotting in somewhere else, which is why I felt, but I didn't find anyone close to Surya's ability at 3 or 4, which is why
Yeah.
Surya.
yeah,
to me
but
had
I
to
don't
be
think like you necessarily need Surya's ability of 3 on 4 when you have the batting lineup that we will eventually form.
I think Surya is such a unique player. But anyway, I'll let Suds go next because he has a very left field pick instead of Surya, I must say. I've seen
Yeah,
his pick.
so the fourth Indian that I had in my 11 was Suresh Raina, just because of the ability. So one of the traits I went through with my 11.
Our editor has fainted and left.
So the trait you were looking for was I will pick an MI person and I will pick a CSK person and I'll be safe on the comment section.
Not that way, but the work that he's done at number 3, that specific role is what I gave importance to than the volume and the ability that Kohli has. So
No, but why ahead of Sky? Who's like, I think, so I get that Raina has a great IPL career, but Sky's T20 international career, his T20
And
career
his IPL
in general,
career.
his strike rate is all just so, I mean, it's such an outlier. I don't see how you pick.
Yeah, I
It's an
also went
outlier
for
now, but you have players like Afridi, you have Dhoni, we need still
There
need
has
to
been,
fit in the
there has
other
been
batters.
no one in T20 history
Correct.
who's managed to consistently go at over 150 while
Fair
also
enough.
averaging in the high
Yeah,
30s.
but Hardik's skill set is even more unique than Sky because in these in all these countries there's no
I
seam
feel-
bowling
I-
all
yeah,
rounder.
but-
No,
Yeah,
I
but
have
I
one.
feel-
I have one. Wait, let me just say, I have a left field pick as a seam bowling all rounder, which
now
is
that's in Shanaka.
Tisara Pereira, who's played almost 400 T20s. His strike rate is actually 150 plus, and that's not just from bashing in LPL. He has a decent strike rate across tournaments: BBL, BPL, T20, IPL. Okay, it's a little below 140. I get that. Yeah, okay. Obviously, if I had the choice to pick Hardik, I would. But because of the limit of 4, that is one option as a seam bowling all rounder. But I'm happy to go Yash's way with a seam bowler at 9 because there are good options there. And then you can pick a spin bowling all rounder.
Should we resolve that batting debate first? Because
Yeah,
there is
so
a
I
batting
have
position
Sky.
that needs to
I
be.
can't compromise on Sky because he's just such an outlier. And definitely not for Raina. I get the Hardik argument. But
I think why, although we might have to hold on it, because if it becomes a choice between Surya and Hardik right now, because we have one Indian spot left. Okay. Right, so only one of those two can fit in. So let's try building the others.
okay, then should we do the number 9 because that might decide the number 6.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so let's go. We all had different picks for number 9. I think 2 of us had a seamer. George, do you want to go with your number 9 first?
You have Bumrah, Malinga,
Yeah, I
and
think you
Rashid.
had-
So I have Ajmal.
Yeah, a finger spinner at number 9, which is why the keenness to go for Hardik as your third seamer. Ajmal, again, great stats. I know you've looked at them. 6.5 economy rate. If there was room for a finger spinner, I have one other name also, which is Murli Dharan. But him and Ajmal are so close. Ajmal has played a bit more, maybe. So I'm not going to argue too much about Murli versus Ajmal. But is there place, or George, are you willing to go with a seamer at 9? And I'll let Yash make the argument for his seamer at 9 next. Because then you can go for a spin bowling all rounder.
My entry to you actually had a slash at number 9 because I'm open to the idea of having the third seamer, or in conditions that demand, I want to go spin heavy. So Ajmal was, of course, the spin option. The pace option for me was Omar Gul, who was the leading wicket taker the first 2 T20 World Cups. Exceptional numbers, a strike rate below 16, which is astounding, whatever generation.
Yeah,
or
I'm not
era you look
arguing
at.
with
So
Gul there.
I'm open to that choice between Ajmal and Gul.
My pick was Mohammad Amir for that spot, and that is purely one of the reasons was the lack of left armers in the 11 that we would have likely had, and it's not that he's an honorary left armer pick, but he has numbers and he's still an
So you're going
active.
with him ahead of Shaheen, who's a decent bat. I get Shaheen's
Yeah.
recent record is not great.
Yeah,
That
I'm
maybe
not
disqualified
So
him.
the only reason I would have had Shaheen in the 11 was because of his batting abilities. But like looking at the 11 that I sent and even the common
You
picks,
have
I'd
depth,
expected
yeah.
we have a lot of depth and Amir longevity as well as ability across conditions. So that
In
was
fact,
my reason.
if we were considering a left arm option, I'd even have Sohail Tanveer over Shaheen.
Okay. So let's settle one part of it. I think three of us are agreeing, apart from George, on leaving out Hardik and going spinner here at 6,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then a fast
A
bowler
seamer
at
there,
9.
yeah.
Anybody buying the Amir? Okay, let's then decide between Gul and Amir, since those are the two cases presented. George, if you
But
had
is
to
George
pick,
losing the Ajmal debate so easy?
I mean,
As in, like,
unless somebody is
so-
buying the Hardik,
So I
style
had
debate.
Gul as one of my the third fast bowler after Bumrah and Malinga. He went out of my team because I picked Hardik as the third seamer with all those spin options, and Ajmal's T20 record is just like
I think
I don't think anyone has got.
somewhere in here, maybe as a number 12. I also don't mind Gul. So just so that we can move along a bit, I think we'll go with Gul. I get the argument though about a lefty, I must say. But are you like, does that sway you or still Gul
Not
over
enough.
Amir?
Gul's numbers
Gul still over
are
Amir?
just
Okay.
too
So let's just do Gul. Okay.
numbers and impact. I mean, two different
Does
World
that
Cups.
then settle the number 6 debate? Because I think all of you had Shakib Al Hassan in your
Yes.
team.
Yeah.
I didn't, only because I had Tisara Pereira here because I had a spinner there. But now that I have a seamer there, I also have Shakib. So we can just lock him in. Again, we can.
And
These
now that-
positions are all fluid, by the way. So,
So now that Hardik is gone, Surya comes in.
or
I mean, the Surya versus Raina debate.
Yeah.
You weren't winning.
If Hardik's not there, then Surya
so
gets
then
it.
Sky
If
also
I've been
gets it.
outvoted
I
on
hope this
Hardik,
doesn't
then
come across as us just bullying the new guy on the show.
and the old guy as well. By the way.
okay, now we get to our numbers 1 and 3. And here's again where there was a lot of debate. Again, let's not worry too much about batting order. It's T20s, they'll figure that out depending on matchups or whatever. But who did, okay, I'll give the new guy a chance to go first because his picks at 1 and 3 are pretty good, I think. I actually have one in common with him. So tell me your 1 and 3.
Yeah, I'd go with Sanat Jayasuriya as my second opener. I mean, for me, numbers aside, he's the OG T20. I know Virendra Sehwag's there, etc.
But you don't have place for him because there's no
yeah,
other
and
Indians
also Jayasuriya has started much before Sehwag, and through my childhood days, that was one of the most attacking.
So that's a
batters.
fields
So
pick.
He's also
it's
he's
a
al-
fields plus
Because
there's
he
also
didn't
numbers to
have
back.
No, but-
as much
also-
of a
Yeah.
T20 career.
He had one
as,
incredible IPL season. The first
The first
IPL
one,
season,
yeah.
he got like 580 runs at a strike rate of 160, which is why also
Unheard.
based partly on fields, partly on how good that original MI jersey looked compared to the current one. All those reasons, I also had Sanat.
But numbers are also compelling. A strike rate of 140 for an opener in
At
that,
time.
era.
But a lot of that is based on that one IPL season. It dipped pretty sharply after that, but it's a fair pick. But what are they? And who was your 3 then after Sanat?
So you had Sanat, Rohit, and Raina.
And Raina was my 3.
Okay, then who did you
so
have
my
instead
4
of Sehwag?
was
Yeah.
Shoaib Malik.
Okay.
I mean, spin
Lot of
hitter,
runs.
volume aside, but spin hitter and all
Strike rate?
that. Strike rate was slightly, again,
In the
very
mid
tough to
120s.
compare the eras, but yeah, that was my deal.
So I had Shoaib Malik in and around my team. The only reason why I didn't have a lot of leeway for his strike rate is because he did continue to play T20s till actually just a
he
few
still
years
does.
ago.
Yeah.
So he did play enough T20s in the last 10 years.
hasn't stayed as
And-
relevant
and-
as.
And for the strike
Virat.
rate to still be 127 is
So
to
the
me-
strike rate aspect also, like, I was slightly hesitant in adding him in, and I was okay with going with an argument in favor of Mohammad Nabi in that case. But I was surprised that like none of us probably had him in.
close.
Yeah,
Yeah,
He's also in
we'll
the
have to
mix.
make
We
some
did
honorable
think of-
mentions.
Yeah, we did think of the name
Yeah.
Nabi for sure.
Nabi,
He's there in the mix.
Yuvraj Singh.
Yeah, Yuvraj, unfortunately, we didn't discuss him as a fourth Indian, but he just misses out that one great World Cup. Anyway, let George go next. Your number 1 and 3. So he's gone Sanat and Shoaib Malik.
So I had Rizwan and Mahela.
Okay.
Ooh.
I also have Mahela, by the way. So that's another
So do
common
I.
pick. So 3 of
And
us
I
have
have him,
Mahela.
and I have him as opener.
I
I'll tell you why.
I have him as number
Do you
3
want to
only
make the case
because
for Mahela? Just to argue, because so this is the only one now against us, so you can go against it.
Mahela, I think, is kind of underrated as a T20 batter because he wasn't the explosive T20 prototype that we see these days. But he had all the shots. He was really inventive. He
I checked his
was not slow by any stretch of imagination. He was not slow. And no, really solid bat. Good against pace, good against spin.
I think going pure by numbers, his strike rate was better than Sanat Jaisurya.
And
Exactly.
better than
As
I
an opener.
think I looked at the matches he's played in, he's striking at least 8 above what the strike rate was in those games. So for his era, he was quite
Yeah, I mean,
quick.
as opener, he has nearly 3,000 runs. So there's a sample, and the strike rate is 143 while averaging 37. So that's why
You
I
have
had
him as
him.
opener and Kohli 3.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm also okay with that. So I think Suds is outvoted on Mahela, so I think we'll get him in. George, do you mind Kohli, Mahela? Do you have a preference for order, or are you okay with anything?
We need to know who the other batting option is for that.
Okay,
to
so
then
let
decide.
George name his other opener, yeah.
So the other one was Rizwan. Because I know Babar and Rizwan get bucketed together and get a bit of
But he's not making
flack
his
right
current
now.
team, Rizwan.
Yeah, just that's just now.
Yeah, but because
everyone
of his
moves
strike
on
rate.
eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Rizwan strike rate as an opener, his consistency as an opener, average in the high 40s, strike rate in the 130s. So yeah, not too bad. I'm happy to discuss other contenders because yeah, he was not amongst my first pick because you eventually had to go with 4 Indians and I didn't see a more compelling Pakistan option.
Yeah, while we are on Rizwan, important to point out that Babar does have huge volume, 8,500 plus runs as opener alone. But he's batted in the last decade and his strike rate is just over 130. That to me is not acceptable. So that's to clear the Babar comments, which will come in surely.
I mean, he's left out of his current team, so we are not making this section. Pakistan selectors have made the decision
Who are
for us.
always the best decision makers. Yes. So okay.
So
Rizwan,
you had Mahela and somebody else as your
Yes.
opener, Kohli at 3. Who's that other opener?
Tilak Ratne Dilshan.
Yeah, that's another name I think we all
Which
had
was
close
my
to our team.
vibes pick, if I can call it, because if you look at the bare numbers now, a strike rate of 122, 123 reads like nothing. But I think the bit important to point out is that for the batters who only played, say, in the first 10 years of T20 cricket, at that point there was no requirement to go hard in the power play. I mean, I know it seems a long time ago, but 6 overs, 40 for 1 was a score most teams would happily take. And within that generation, Dilshan, yes, that's the numbers side of it, but also the kind of impact he had. The 2009 T20 World Cup, I think he was player of the tournament. And
Yeah, when
My only thing is though.
so when Dustin, when you asked me to put this T20 11 together, the first name for an opener that came to mind was Dilshan. And it was a fields pick, largely because when you think of T20 openers, from back then, all time, who invented the Dil scoop? Still, no one plays it like he did. He was a real innovator and a little ahead of his time, also perhaps. But in the end, I just went for Rizwan's body of work. But yeah,
But what about a lefty? That was my one concern, which is why I went for Sanat instead of Dilshan as my other opener. Dilshan, purely based on record, I would pick Dilshan. But do we have enough lefties? We have only Shakib as a lefty here. So does that change any of your minds on Sanat versus Dilshan, or is there another lefty you can think of?
I'm
happy
okay
to
with
budge on.
Sanat because no one put the
Okay, good. We'll give.
Fear
And
of
also,
God.
let's give the debutant
Yeah.
one pick. Let's go with one of his picks. So we'll go with Sanat.
yeah. What I would prefer is Sanat and Mahela to be our openers and Kohli to be 3, because I feel it's a stronger middle order there.
Yeah, that's fine. So okay, we've reached this pretty quickly actually.
And
Pleasant surprise. Now our number 12. Who do you think is the best case of all the names? I'll just throw out some honorable mentions because people get very
Lots.
upset when we did.
Yes.
Imran Nazir has a great record. Virender Sehwag has a great record. Babar Rizwan. In the middle order, who else can you think
Virender
of?
Sehwag among openers.
Yeah, I said Sehwag. Yuvraj Singh could have been there. Bowlers, there's Shaheen Afridi, Mohammad Amir, who we've mentioned. A bunch of other good Indian bowlers
Mustafizur
who missed
Rahman.
out. Mustafizur Rahman. So a lot of honorable mentions, but this is our 11. Now just a 12th player that you want to pick. I would go with Ajmal
Same.
as a finger spinning option that could be brought in on a turning track.
I still would go with Mohammad
Raina.
Amir as a backup. Not
No, not
Raina
a back-
because we have, I guess, 4 Indians is fine in the 12 as well. But yeah, one fast bowling, given how,
So I feel because we already have 3 pacers, there's no scenario playing 4. But if it were to be, a turning track that this hypothetical team plays on, Ajmal, throw him in the mix with Rashid.
but there's also, yeah.
If you have the
there's no
team stacked
option.
with lefties, unfortunately, Suds, you've been outvoted again. So there's 3 Ajmals. Murli was somebody who I really wanted to pick, but I agree. Ajmal, after you showed me his strike rate, it's phenomenal. So, yes, that is our final all-time Asian T20 11. Please tell us why we are completely wrong. I hope we follow the rules. Yes, we've got no more than 4 of any one country. So, yeah, that's it. And let us know who you would have picked in the comments, which we will not read.